Welcome to a new series for Karisma Productions. You may be wondering what I'm wearing. Well, they're not my pyjamas. I'm actually going to be taking you through some of the basics of a martial art called Tae Kwon Do. This is the martial art I've had the most experience with, but I'll also be incorporating elements from Okinawan karate and Shaolin Kung Fu. This episode in particular I'm going to be focusing on some of the basic stances. Stances are a part that you don't always think of when you're thinking of martial arts. You always think of the kicks and the strikes and the jumps and all these fancy things. But actually the stance work is probably one of the most important elements. It not only allows you to maintain your balance well, but also shows you to be able to move around and maintain a good mobility and a good stability. Those are probably the two key elements for stance work. So, well, we'll get on then, shall we? Okay, so the first stance I'm going to show you is called a walking stance, performed like this. Okay, it's an offensive stance used for stepping into an attack. So the weight is moving forward. The basic dynamics of it are the back leg has to be straight and the front leg is bent. You should always be able to see the end of your toes. If you bend it too far, you're putting too much strain on the front knee. So the feet have to be facing forward, the front foot's facing forward, the back one's slightly on a diagonal. The stance is about 2 shoulder widths long and about 1 shoulder width wide. It's important that you have the width. If you have your feet too narrow, then you won't be balanced. It'll be far too easy to push you over. Okay, so the diagram to this side should helpfully illustrate the foot positions and your weight distribution for this stance. Okay, so the second stance I'm going to show you is called a sitting stance. This one's also often called a horse stance, as it sort of resembles how your legs look when you're riding a horse. This stance is obviously you're not moving forward or backwards with it. It's a stance to get a very firm base for you to attack or to block. The weight should be, you should always remember to keep your knees bent. The weight needs to be quite far down. This helps you to keep a strong base, and also you can shift your weight around. If your legs are straight, then you're too static, you fall over far too easily. Again, the weight should be over the middle and both feet should always be facing the front. Again, the diagram on the side should hopefully illustrate how your feet should be positioned for this. The third stance I'm going to show you is called an L-shaped stance. This is performed like that. For this one, this is slightly different. This is more of a defensive stance. So in fact, actually, you'll often be stepping back into it. Most of the weight is over the back leg. The back foot should be facing 90 degrees to where you're looking, and the front foot should be facing forward. So the diagram looks a bit like an L, as you can see on the side. The weight distribution is probably about 70% on the back leg, 30% on the front leg. The point for this is that it allows you to step back reasonably quickly. If you have your weight over the front, you'll find you're a lot less mobile. And this takes me into the fourth stance, which is a bit more of a posy, showy stance. This stance is actually a Kung Fu stance. I'm not sure exactly what the English name for it is, but I'm going to call it a low stance. And this is performed like this. So again, the feet, well, the front foot you can have facing front, directly to the front if you like. This is sort of one you have to just find a comfortable position for, but the idea is to try and get your weight as low as you can, keep your body upright, and again you have most of the weight over the back leg. So you'll find this a very difficult stance to pull off first. You need quite flexible hips and quite strong back leg. But the point is, this is another defensive stance. It's good for moving out of the way of an attack, and then you can use it as a spring to launch into another one. So, and it's a great posy stance, you know. You see likes of Jet Li and Bruce Lee pull stance like this all the time. So yeah, so those are the basic stances. Practice them individually, moving into them. Make sure your feet are in the right position, the weight's over the right spot. And once you got that, you can also practice moving from one stance to another. Once you can do this, then you should hopefully have a good base for achieving what I'd set out, was the mobility and the stability to launch yourself into various attacks and defences. Right, so those are the stances that will provide the foundations for all the techniques that we'll be learning in later episodes. A couple of technical points that I should have mentioned. With all of those stances, you want to make sure to keep your back as upright and as straight as possible. And you should also make sure your feet are flat on the floor, so no raised heels, please. If you want more information, you can contact me at the email address below. And you can also find more information on www.tagb.biz. That's the official website for the Taekwondo organisation that I trained under. Other than that, it's been a pleasure, and I hope to see you for further episodes.